On January 13th of 2018, at 8:07 a.m., an alert went out to the people of Hawaii that a ballistic missile was headed their way, and this was not a test, it was real. A full 38 minutes passed before they were told that the message was sent in error. 38 minutes that they thought were their last. Some people acted quickly, trying their best to get their children and loved ones to safety, even in the face of the knowledge that this was likely not going to help. Some people reacted in ways that seem silly now, eating all the leftover lasagna, people spending their precious last few moments with loved ones or speaking with them on the phone. One man wrote, "I made an impulse decision to stay in bed with my wife. Nowhere to go for safety and no time to get there anyway. Might as well be comfortable with someone I love." One woman wrote that when the morning came, she rolled out of bed and told her partner, "Well, how about I make us one last cup of coffee before we die?" And then she went to the kitchen and brewed a small pot. She wrote that all she wanted to do one last time was to do one of her favorite things, sit and talk and share stories with him with coffee in the morning. She continued, "Maybe it wasn't so impulsive, but there was something about it being the last time to do that." No one was rushing to work. No one was worrying about a project that had to be finished. In the end, it was all about relationships, about people, about love. Far from talking about an afterlife, stories of these 38 minutes were all about this life, life lived with others, the inner life full of memories and stories and emotions, and being fully present in the moment. I want to invite you to pause now and consider, what would you do in that situation? If tomorrow at 8:07 a.m. you got this terrifying alert, what would you do? I'm inviting you to really pause for a moment and think, how would you spend those 38 minutes? What would really matter in the end? Thankfully, I haven't experienced a scare quite to that level, but my family and I did have a very jarring experience by this fire. But it was upsetting and even traumatic for many who lived in the Roaring Fork Valley where we were at the time. I first noticed smoke and then flames on one of the mountains fairly close to our neighborhood when I drove home from Temple on July 3rd of that year. By the evening of the 4th, the wind had picked up and the fire had spread, and we could see an eerie red glow over the mountain just across the little 2-lane highway from where we lived. As we started to get the kids ready for bed, we could see some visible flames over the mountains. And then watching out our kitchen window, I will never forget the sight as fire crested the top of the mountain and rapidly made its way down, right across that little highway from our neighborhood. For the first and only time in my life, I felt every hair stand on end with visceral fear. Though our neighborhood wasn't yet on mandatory evacuation order, neighbors were knocking on doors to alert each other. So we ran around and tried to quickly grab most of our precious and important items, all the while trying to calm our kids and act like absolutely nothing was wrong. They didn't buy it at all. We grabbed our ketubah, our wedding album, a few other precious photo albums, the baby blankets I had knit for the kids, Scott's grandfather's violin and my handmade guitar, a couple of toys and books for the kids and their preschool artwork, and a bottle of wine, and 2 apple pies that had just come out of the oven. I'd worked hard on those, and those were not staying behind. We got the kids and the dogs into the car, and that was it. Our cars were full. Once we were settled into the hotel for the night and the kids were asleep and the dogs had calmed, we looked around that little hotel room and I was overcome. Our family was safe. If we had, God forbid, lost our home and everything in it, of course, it would have been devastating. That said, other than our dear ones in different locations, every single thing that was truly important to us was in that little room. It was crystal clear. I would guess that many of you have had moments in your lives when you experienced a similar kind of clarity, perhaps after, God forbid, receiving a difficult diagnosis or terrible news about a loved one, or in a moment of intense joy like the birth of a child or a grandchild, or after achieving a dream you never thought you would reach. Suddenly, everything is thrown into sharp relief. You know what is truly important to you versus what is convenience or creature comfort or a pleasant addition. Deep down, we already know what is important. We already know in our kishkas what truly matters. But it can be surprisingly hard in the rhythm of our day-to-day lives to keep these things in mind. Life simply isn't made up of those big moments of joy or devastation and terror, reminding us of what is core. Primarily, almost entirely, life is made up of days that are mixed bags filled with work or school or care tasks. It can be so hard to have the presence of mind to understand during a typical day that it is the seemingly mundane moments in our lives spent with those we love that truly matter. When I was a parent of babies and toddlers, during the time when Scott and I were both working well beyond full time and juggling daycare drop-offs and just eking out making life happen, fairly frequently when I would be out with one or both of the kids, someone would stop me and smile and admire the kids and say something like, "It goes by in a blink. Make sure you cherish every single moment." And I would respond back politely, something like, "Of course, thank you, I'm grateful." And I was grateful. But I'll share that deep down inside, in my exhausted and spread thin state, I hear a couple of parents laughing. In my exhausted and spread thin state, my internal reaction was something more along the lines of, "Are you kidding me? I haven't slept in a year and a half. I've changed 5 blowout diapers already today. I haven't had a cup of coffee even mildly warm in as long as I can remember. Cherish every moment? Is that possible?" Now, just a few years later, though I know not to tell new parents to cherish every moment for fear of being throttled, I understand the sentiment so much more. Time slips through your fingers, and they are little for such a short period of time, and suddenly I wish that I could travel back in time and smell their sweet keppies, or feel their soft skin, get one of those baby belly laughs, or squeeze their chubby pulkies a little longer. Fast forward until now, and our kids are 7 and 10, and will soon make me not mention them in sermons, I am sure. And I am keenly aware that I may not know what moment might be the last time I get to do something with them. When I'm exhausted at the end of the day and just want to be off duty, I also don't want to skip tucking them in and laying for a few minutes, because how many more evenings will they let me have bedtime snuggles? How many more times will they be willing to yell out, "Love you, Mom," and slam the door at the drop-off at school? How many more times will they be willing to hold hands while walking together? I don't want to pass up a moment only to realize I don't get that chance again. It's unavoidable to have some regrets in our lives. Hindsight is 20/20, but in the moment our vision can be clouded. We make decisions only to accidentally mess something up or hurt someone's feelings. We make the wrong choice and it causes frustration to ourselves or to others. And we regret those things. But the regrets we should truly concern ourselves with are not about the decisions we tend to agonize over at work or at home or school, but rather the regret we might feel in the future if we don't take the opportunities we have now to soak in the moments that are truly important, moments of relationship, quiet care, presence, and love. Living in the moment, cultivating mindfulness, pause and notice the little things. These can sound so cliche. We hear them so often it's easy to brush them off or roll our eyes and move on. We hear about mindfulness in pop culture as if it's a life hack or a diet trick or some new agey self-help trend. But none of that speaks to the awareness that moments of great clarity call on us to cultivate. That is, to conscientiously, actively choose to pause, to slow down, and to fully enjoy the time we have with those we love. To really soak in the simple moments with the people who are dear to us. To sit on the couch for 30 minutes with our partner and chat over morning coffee instead of reading the news or zoning out scrolling Facebook. To stop and really listen to that long-winded story your child or grandchild is sharing with you. To take that leisurely walk with a friend instead of postponing it in favor of crossing errands off your list. It is easy to say we should stop and enjoy the moments that make up our lives, but it's not easy. It's really difficult. There is so much to distract us in our busy lives, whether work or schlepping to activities, volunteer commitments, taking care of aging parents, or just managing a home and making meals. We tend to live as if our time is unlimited, acting like there will always be another opportunity to fully stop and enjoy the moments and experiences that make up our days. I'll call them tomorrow. Let's touch base soon and make a plan. We'll go to that family gathering next year. I'll be sure to catch you next time. We live as if time is infinite, yet it is our single, truly finite, and most precious resource. There was an article published in the New York Times recently that I found very moving, and it was entitled, "I Don't Need My Life to Be Remarkable." It was written by a mother reflecting on her experience and her family's experience as her teenage daughter faced significant illness. She wrote about how in between truly terrifying times when their daughter was struggling and her health was dismally failing, in times when her daughter was on an upswing, she would try to plan perfect days, fabulous trips, getting her daughter on a surfboard again, trying to create incredible memories. But over time, she developed a different kind of awareness. She wrote, "Each of those precious days was indeed a 10, but it was the 4s and 5s I began to crave. Just lying on her bed, talking, watching her eat pasta and asking for more, seeing her swim. Even the 1s and 2s, when our car broke down and we needed to find a tow truck off island, felt like wins. What is a transportation problem than a manageable hassle, really? At least we were together." She grew to see the wisdom in seeking and finding joy in the unremarkable moments and days, and she wrote, "In the frankly boring. It has allowed me to stand still when I would otherwise not stop moving." She wrote of the joy of seeing her daughter head off to practice for the school play, or devour books without deficit even after brain surgery. This normalcy was the exact joy she needed, and truly the exact joy we all need. She wrote, "It turns out I really don't need life to always be a 10. A nice solid 6 would be fine. Tonight I'd even go with a 4. We'd be very happy to rest here at 4. It's so easy to look around in this day and age and think that practically everyone around us is living at a 10 as we encounter the curated versions of themselves that so many project online. But that's not real life, not for us and not for a single other person on this earth. Once in a while, we will have a day that's a 10. And sometimes, God willing, not too often, we'll encounter the deep challenge of the other side of that spectrum. But life is lived in the 4s and the 5s and the 6s, no matter who you are. Maybe when things are going really well, you're at a 5 to 7 or 6 to 8. Other times, if you've had a string of 1s, a 3 will feel pretty great. This year, this day, let us strive to find the joy in the 4. Let us appreciate the 4. Now, you may be sitting there thinking to yourself, is the rabbi's message for 5783 that she's really encouraging me to settle for a 4? And the answer is no. Well, actually, the answer is kind of. I am saying that a 4 is not settling. I am saying that we cannot wait for days that are 10s or 0s to remind ourselves of what's truly important. Yom Kippur, this day, is meant to be one of those unsettling times. Dramatic melodies, heavy liturgy, who shall live and who shall die. Yom Kippur is saying to us, open your eyes. Time is fleeting. Nothing lasts forever, not even you. Yom Kippur is Shabbat Shabbaton, the Sabbath of Sabbaths, the pause of pauses. Let us each take this day, truly take this day of Yom Kippur to pause and reflect. Stripping away distractions, Yom Kippur asks us, what is truly important to you? And are you making sure to prioritize what is essential? On this Yom Kippur, I imagine our tshuva like this. Achet shechatanu, for not taking opportunities for presence, presuming they will come again. Achet shechatanu, for wishing away time when life gets stressful. Achet shechatanu, for not tuning in to moments that could have been precious if only we were aware. It is not possible to be 100% fully present and intentional in every single moment all the time. Perhaps it's not even realistic to do that for part of the day on every single day. But it is possible to cultivate consciousness so that in this year ahead we can be a bit more present, a bit more aware, a bit more conscious of what truly matters in our lives. A great sage once asked her students, tell me, what are you watching as you see the sky turn from orange to rose, then to deep purple, and finally to darkness? That's obvious, said her students. You're watching the sunset. No, said the sage, you're wrong. You are watching the world turn. The world has turned into this new year of 5783. May we greet this new year with heightened awareness, with appreciation, and with a commitment to soak in moments of presence and love. Ken Yehi Ratzon, may this be God's will. Amen.